So you're listening because you want your English to really hit the mark, yeah? To be sharp, clear, make an impact.
Hmm.
You're aiming for that great vocabulary that makes you sound, well, sophisticated, but without getting lost in words that just feel clunky.
Right. You don't want to sound like you swallowed a dictionary, but you do want precision.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about today. We're looking at some really smart ways to choose better words, make your writing, your speaking just more effective. This is all based on some good thinking around C1 level vocabulary.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? That desire to, you know, get better words. It's strong,
It is.
but sometimes being too keen can actually backfire. They can weaken what you're trying to say.
Oh, definitely. We've all read things or heard things where someone's trying so hard and it just sounds awkward, misses the point.
Completely misses the mark.
Okay, so let's get straight into one of the maybe the biggest offenders. These little words we lean on too much, like very.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
The very trap.
It's like, it's a hefty word, isn't it? Maybe we're a bit scared to use a stronger word, so we just stick very in front. Our source material actually talks about killing lazy words. I like that phrase.
Me too. It's blunt, but it gets the point across. And think about the real difference it makes. If you say someone is very angry, okay, I get it.
Yeah, basic idea.
But if you say they're furious or even apoplectic, wow, that paints a picture. Much stronger, much more precise. You feel the intensity.
Right, it adds layers. And the stuff we're looking at gives great examples, like instead of very important.
Use crucial or pivotal.
Exactly. Crucial implies it's essential. Pivotal, like if it's a turning point. These words just have more weight built in, don't they?
They absolutely do.
Then there's this thing called the shame file in our notes, which
Mhm.
honestly makes me wince a bit.
Oh, I know the examples you mean.
Yeah, common mistakes like very perfect or very extinct. Why do those just sound so fundamentally wrong? Why do they kind of, I don't know, hurt your soul a little bit when you hear them?
Huh? Well, hurt your soul might be strong, but they definitely highlight redundancy. I mean, think about it. Perfect. What does it mean?
Complete. Finished. Nothing missing.
Right. So adding very suggests degrees of perfectness,
Hmm.
which doesn't make sense logically. It's either
Yeah.
perfect or it isn't.
Okay, yeah.
Same with extinct. It means gone, finished,
Mm.
no longer exists. You can't be more gone, can you? Very extinct is just, well, it's weak because it shows you maybe don't quite grasp the core meaning of extinct. It lacks precision.
Got it. So, message received. Be ruthless with very. But okay, what about when we try to find better words? The natural instinct for many of us is reach for the thesaurus.
The quick fix.
Yeah, the magic button for sounding smarter. But our source flags this up as a potential problem. The source traps. What kind of traps are we talking about?
Well, the main thing is synonyms listed in the thesaurus. They're rarely perfect substitutes. They might be related in meaning, sure.
But not identical.
Not at all. They have different nuances, different shades of meaning, different contexts where they feel right. Just picking a word because it looks more complicated, that can make you sound really unnatural. Or worse, say something you didn't actually mean.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. The source had some good examples here too, like happy. You could probably swap in joyful quite often, right?
Often, yes. They're pretty close.
But then you get to jubilant. That feels different. It's more like triumph,
Ex-
celebration.
Exactly. You wouldn't normally say you feel jubilant just because the sun came out, unless maybe you hadn't seen it for 6 months. It has a specific, high-energy, celebratory feel.
Right. And another one said, okay, you might swap that for argued if there was a disagreement. That often works.
Mm-hmm. Fix the context?
But then there's opined. I mean, technically, it means expressing an opinion.
But it sounds so formal, almost literary. You'd sound pretty odd saying your colleague opined about the bad coffee, unless you were, like, deliberately trying to be funny or something.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. And this actually leads to a really simple, practical rule from the material we looked at. It says, if you've never heard the word in spoken English, don't write it. That feels like solid advice.
It really is. It grounds your vocabulary building in how language is actually used. If a word feels strange rolling off your tongue, if you stumble trying to say it,
Chances are it'll look weird on the page, too.
exactly. It'll probably sound forced, maybe even pretentious, to someone who knows the language well. Stick to what sounds natural first.
Okay, good rule. Now let's switch gears slightly. How can we actively build a vocabulary that has more punch? The source talks about field-specific power words. This sounds interesting, like using words that signal expertise.
Precisely. Think about academic fields or professions. They often develop their own specialized vocabulary.
That kind of shorthand.
Sort of. It allows people in that field to talk about complex ideas really concisely and accurately. And using those terms, correctly, it shows you belong, that you understand the concepts within that specific area.
That makes sense. The examples given are helpful. Like in STEM fields, science, tech, engineering, math, you might see robust, which means
Strong, resilient, works well under pressure, like a robust experimental design.
got it. Or significant, not just big, but statistically important.
Yes, a very specific meaning there.
Yes.
Or anomaly, something that deviates from what's expected, an outlier. Using significant difference instead of just a big difference in a lab report instantly adds that layer of, well, scientific precision.
Yeah, authority,
Definitely. And you see similar things in the humanities. Words like nuanced.
meaning it has subtle layers. It's not black and white.
Right. Or hegemonic, talking about dominant cultural or political influence.
Yeah.
Or dichotomy, which is a division into two often opposing parts. These words pack a lot of meaning. Trying to explain hegemony without using the word takes quite a bit longer.
So the key here isn't just grabbing fancy words to sound smart generally.
No, absolutely not.
It's about using the right, precise term that people in that specific field understand to communicate complex stuff efficiently.
That's the crucial point. It's about clarity and effectiveness for a specific audience. It's not about vocabulary for its own sake. It's communication tool.
Okay, great distinction. So we've covered some big ideas. Let's bring it down to some really practical, quick wins. The source calls this the 5-second upgrade. I like the easy swaps for immediate improvement.
Yeah, these are great. Simple things you can change in your everyday speaking or writing that just sort of level it up instantly.
Right.
We all fall back on slightly vague phrases.
Totally, a lot. We all say it all the time. The suggestion is, if you're talking quantity, something you can measure, maybe try a substantial amount.
A bit more formal, more precise.
Right. Or if it's more descriptive, like a wide variety of things, maybe a plethora sounds a bit more sophisticated.
It does. Or take a really common word like bad. Just
Yeah.
plain bad. Very vague. Is it harmful? Then maybe say detrimental. Does it raise ethical questions or cause difficulties? Maybe problematic is the word. It pushes you to be more specific about why it's bad.
Yeah, those small changes done consistently could really make a difference over time. Okay, one more technique from our source material, a really practical one for checking your own work, the read aloud test. How does reading aloud help?
It's surprisingly effective. When you read silently, your brain kind of skims and autocorrects. But reading it out loud, that forces you to slow down.
You actually hear the words.
Exactly. You engage a different sense, and it makes it much easier to catch things like awkward phrasing or words that just don't land right, things your eyes might just glide over.
The source says to listen for a few specific things, like if you find yourself stumbling over a sentence.
Yeah, that's a red flag. It probably means the sentence structure is clunky or the word order is just unnatural. Needs smoothing out.
Okay. And if you actually cringe when you say a word out loud?
That's usually a sign it feels forced. Too pretentious, maybe, or just doesn't fit your natural voice or the context. Your gut is telling you something's off.
Makes sense. And the third one, feeling bored as you read your own writing.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Often means your verbs are weak. Too many passive sentences, maybe. Needs more energy, more dynamic language. Stronger verbs are key.
Right. And then there's this fantastic little pro tip they include. I love this. It says, if your roommate or partner overhears you reading your academic work aloud and asks, "Are you okay?" You've probably achieved what the source calls academic intensity.
Which might be code for you sound like a robot. Or nobody talks like that.
Exactly. Maybe dial it back a notch towards clarity and naturalness. Yeah.
Definitely a relatable check, a good reality check.
It really is. Okay, so let's just quickly pull that all together. We've looked at quite a few strategies here for making your English vocabulary work harder for you. Killing off the weak words, like very, number one. Being smart about the thesaurus, not just grabbing words blindly.
Using those field-specific power words, but only when it's genuinely appropriate for your audience and topic.
Right. Making those quick 5-second upgrades for common, vague phrases. And finally, using that read aloud test to catch awkwardness or pretentiousness in your own writing.
Yeah, those are all really concrete things you can actually do starting right now to sound clearer, more precise, and yeah, more sophisticated too.
Absolutely. And because we want you to take action, we've got your homework based on this. Ready?
Let's hear it.
Okay, first task. Find just one instance of very in something you've written recently. Your mission is to, well, murder it.
Haha, nicely put.
Replace it with a single, stronger word that does the job better. That's challenge 1.
Good one.
Challenge 2. Sometime today, look at a journal article or report, something professional in your area. Find one power word, one of those precise, field-specific terms maybe. Notice it, and just think, how could you potentially use that word correctly and naturally in your own work or conversation?
I like those. Small steps, focused practice. That's how you really build these habits.
Exactly. And just a little heads up for next time. Our next deep dive is going to tackle the C1 to C2 jump, why your English still sounds foreign, and how to fix it.
Ooh, that's a good one. Moving beyond just vocabulary and grammar.
Precisely. Fine-tuning pronunciation, rhythm, flow, getting that really natural sound. So definitely join us for that if it's relevant to you. But for now, maybe you just think about communicating with more intention, making every word count.
Yeah, be deliberate. Choose words that really carry the meaning you intend. And hey, for anyone who really wants to expand their arsenal, don't forget about that 20 underused academic power words cheat sheet.
Oh, yeah. How do people get that?
Just send a direct message, a DM, to @EnglishUnlocked on whatever platform you use, and use the hashtag #PowerWords.
Nice. Hashtag power words. Got it.
So yeah, keep digging deeper, keep practicing, and make sure your voice is heard clearly and confidently.